In 2044, 25-year-old Joe works for a Kansas City crime syndicate as an assassin or looper. Since tracking systems in the future of 2074 have made it nearly impossible to dispose of bodies undetected, the syndicate sends its enemies back in time to be executed. Managed by a man from the future named Abe, loopers kill and dispose of victims whose faces are concealed, recovering silver bars attached to their targets as payment. To hide connections to the syndicate, any loopers who survive until 2074 are sent back and killed by their own younger selves, referred to as closing the loop. These targets are identified by gold bars instead of silver, marking the end of the looper's contract. Joe's friend Seth confesses to Joe that he failed in an assignment to kill his future self. Old Seth has escaped after warning Seth that a person in the future called the Rainmaker will overthrow the 5 major bosses and close all loops. Joe reluctantly hides Seth in his apartment's floor safe, but later reveals his location after Abe threatens to confiscate half of Joe's saved silver. Abe's elite GAT men capture Seth, cut an address into his arm, and begin severing body parts. These effects appear on old Seth's body. He goes to the address on his arm and is shot dead by Kid Blue, one of the GAT men. When Joe's next target arrives, it is his older self, but with his face uncovered and hands unbound. Old Joe escapes before Joe can kill him. Returning to his apartment and finding it ransacked by the GAT men, Joe fights with Kid Blue, falls off a fire escape and blacks out. In another timeline, Joe does kill his older self. He moves to Shanghai and becomes a hitman to finance his drug addiction and wild lifestyle. Eventually, he marries and breaks the addiction with his wife's help. 7 years later, his wife is killed when Joe is taken to close the loop. Overpowering his captors, old Joe sends himself back to 2044, altering his history by evading Joe and escaping. Old Joe experiences vague memories of Joe's actions in the present and meets his younger self at a diner. He wants to alter history again and save his wife by killing the Rainmaker as a child. He acquires a map from a local library using numbers written on his hand that are supposed to pertain to the Rainmaker's identity. Kid Blue and the GAT men appear, and a gunfight ensues. Both Joes escape, with pieces of the map. Joe follows the map to a farm where a woman named Sarah lives with her young son Sid. Sarah recognizes the numbers on the map as Sid's birthday and the location of the hospital where he was born. Joe guesses that old Joe is going to kill all 3 children born at that hospital on the same day, not knowing which one will become the Rainmaker. Jesse, a GAT man, comes to the farm, but Sid helps Joe hide. Later that night, Sarah and Joe have sex, and Sarah reveals that while she has slightly above average telekinetic powers, Sid's abilities are far stronger. In the morning, Joe wakes to find Jesse holding Sarah at gunpoint. Terrified, Sid kills Jesse using telekinesis. Joe realizes that Sid will become the Rainmaker and that old Joe will now know this. Kid Blue captures old Joe and takes him to Abe. Old Joe breaks free, killing Abe and his henchmen, and goes to Sarah's farm, followed by Kid Blue. While young Joe kills Kid Blue, old Joe pursues Sarah and Sid. When Sid's face is grazed by a bullet, Sarah calms him before he can react and kill anyone. She sends Sid into a sugarcane field and positions herself to block old Joe's line of fire. Joe realizes that Sid will become the Rainmaker if old Joe kills Sarah. He commits suicide, erasing old Joe's existence, saving Sarah and potentially preventing Sid from becoming the Rainmaker.